It's that time of the month again, and today we're going to be looking at the most shorted stocks as of early June. Now this data is delayed by about 5 business days, so this is the earliest data that we have. Hey guys, my name is Fyzee and this channel is about finance and investing. Before we begin, this video is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you to buy these companies at all. We're just seeing what companies are being short sold at the moment. Please do your own research as well. So the first company is Kgn. So you guys probably saw this coming anyways, because if you've seen the stock price lately, it's taken quite a plunge, and we'll have a look at the stock price in just a second, but obviously it is not doing too well on the back of a few announcements that we saw this year. Based on the business update that we saw this year in April, the EBITDA declined by more than 24% because of high storage costs, and they do have lots of stock left over, and they made a huge bet that the demand that increased during COVID would just keep on going. But unfortunately, this did not happen, which led to all that costs. So let's have a look at the recent share price. So the 1-year return for the company is minus 18% at the moment. Having a look at a year to date, this is where the huge drop came in at minus 44%, which is quite huge. But looking at a more long-term view at a return of 5 years, it is still largely positive at 600%. And having a look at the year to date more specifically, we can see some major drops happening in around that late January mark, and then once again at that late April mark that we just spoke about. But having a look at the 1 month return, you can see this massive spike that we saw, a drop of like 14%, and then the next day the share price went back up again at 14.7% again. So I'm not too sure what exactly happened here. This seems pretty strange, but if you know what happened here, let me know, because when I saw this, I was at work and I just thought to myself, like, what the hell's going on? This is so strange. And if I remember correctly, there was no announcement on these couple of days as well, so I'm not too sure what exactly happened here. But the share price seems to be working around that $10 mark at the moment. But having a look at the short percentage for the last 12 months, Kgn at the moment is the highest on the ASX right now in terms of short percentage at roughly 12%, actually exactly 12% as of 7th June, as you guys can see. And at the moment, you can see the massive spike right now. So last month when we did this video, Kgn was ranked 7th on the ASX, but now it has skyrocketed to the first place. And you can see that on the 21st of May, we saw that share price drop of 14.29%. And then if we compare this to the actual short percentage graph, and you can see that it roughly shot up around that 2% mark, which is quite huge if you really think about it when it comes to at least the ASX. So often you'll find that the share price and the short percentage graph is negatively correlated, which means that if the share price is going down, theoretically speaking, the short percentage should be going up, because the whole point of short selling is to bet on the share price going down, and if the share price goes down, you make money. So theoretically speaking, they should be negatively correlated. So essentially, you're betting on the company's demise and you're hoping that the company gets even worse than what it is now, and you're essentially profiting off of a company's misfortune or the company's bad decisions. So with the share price, again, having a look at the year to date, we can see that, of course, since it fell by over 44%, the short percentage graph reflects exactly what's happened here. So this basically fits that theory that we just spoke about. Now, if we switch the graph to the last 3 years, we can see that right now the company is at the highest that it's ever been when it comes to overall percentage of stocks that are shorted. Now, personally for me, I invest for the long term. So, and when I say long term, I'm looking at a time frame of 5 to 10 years. So personally, I have been buying more into Kgn around that $10 mark, because I do believe that the company is undervalued at the moment, and I don't really need the money right now. So I'm happy to invest in Kgn, because I do believe that, of course, it is going to be a winner long term. But I do think that in the short to medium term, this volatility that we're seeing with the share price having massive spikes up and down both ways, I think we're going to keep on seeing this moving forward for the time being, unless a major announcement happens that basically shifts the investor's view. And the issue that we're seeing with the inventory is only a temporary issue, but let's see what happens. Once again, I'm not telling you to buy into this company. Please do some research on your own as well. I've simply bought the dip because I believe in it, but do your own thesis as well and let me know what you think. So next up on the list is Webjet. Now, you probably already knew this was coming if you've been following along for the last 2 videos, and you can probably tell why. Because of COVID, obviously, a large portion of Webjet's revenue comes from travel, so of course this has been largely affected. And looking at the short percentage, currently it sits at 10.7%, which is quite high. And if we look at the graph, the highest point that the short percentage has ever been is in September, when it shot up to 18%, which is just insane. So it has been getting better. The short sellers are not targeting the company as much as they were before, but it still remains on their radar. More or less, it is dipping now, it's not as high. But if we contrast this with the share price of the company, looking at a, say, like a 1-year return, it is looking fairly positive at about 28%. But looking at a share price graph of year to date, it does seem to be trading sideways at the moment. And we did see from mid-February to around mid-March, there was a gain of roughly around that 35% mark, but once again it's gone back down again. And if you know Webjet is on this list, we have to have Flight Centre on here as well. So the Flight Centre current short percentage is sitting at about 9.58%. And having a look at the trend for the last 12 months, we can see that it has been increasing, although it is very volatile. And we did see a bit of a dip around the last 10 days of May where the short percentage fell by around 2%, as you guys can see. And if we look at the share price of Flight Centre, we can see that it's pretty positively correlated to the share price for Webjet, because we can see that it went up by around that 35% mark once again, and then it fell back down again. So they are pretty positively correlated. Now, when it comes to the travel industry, I'm not going to comment too much on it because personally I'm not too familiar with it. I don't follow it too much, and to be honest, I don't fully understand it either. I hate admitting this, but it's just true. And this sort of sector doesn't really interest me too much anyway, so I'm going to sit out this one for now. I mostly like tech stocks, and fintech is my favorite area of the market, and that's basically my circle of competence. So I do think if you're looking to invest in companies, start off with what your interests are and what you already know, because chances are it's going to keep you pretty interested when you start to do your own research. Now, if you want to know more about fintech stocks on the ASX, I've made a full video about that already. There should be a link somewhere here. This video is about the top 5 fintech stocks right now on the ASX. I've done a whole video about every single stock on that video, and based on my research, I think these companies are very exciting, and I love the way that they're trying to disrupt the market. So go check this video out. I think it'll be very helpful. So next up on the list, we have ASX RSG. This is Resolute Mining. Now, in the last couple of videos that we've done when it comes to short selling, we've literally mentioned this company every single time, the previous 2 videos, and it just keeps coming up for some reason in that top 5 shorted stocks mark. The short percentage of the company sits at around 10.5%. Now, we're not going to go too much into this for now because once again, I'm not really too familiar with mining. I don't really like mining, to be very honest. But as you guys can see, based on the short percentages, it just keeps on increasing and it's on an upward trend. So let's see what happens. Next up on the list, we have ASX TPW. This is Temple and Webster, and I'm sure you've heard about this if you've been following the whole Kgn saga, because Temple and Webster is a similar company. And as you guys might know, the market didn't really like their announcements as well, and this stock was heavily sold off since the highs in October 2020. The short percentage of the company sits at around 9.08% currently, and it has been rising pretty significantly over the last couple of months, as you guys can see based on the graph. Now, the short sellers are taking more and more interest into the company and potentially expecting the share price to fall even more so they can make that sweet profit. Who knows? Now, when it comes to this sort of stuff, this is just one of the indicators that we can use when it comes to our overall research when looking into companies. Just because a company is being shorted like this one and we can see an upward trend, it doesn't always necessarily mean that it's going to be a great buy. It is just one of the indicators that we can use in our overall disposal. So basically, my whole point is that don't just look at this graph and think to yourself, wow, if short sellers are shorting this company, surely it might mean that the company is undervalued. It is not always the case, so just keep that in mind. Now, personally, I haven't been following Temple and Webster too closely, so I'm not too sure about their intricacies of their business. I do understand that they're a e-commerce retailer for homewares and furniture, but that's really all I know, so I'm not going to go into too much specifics at the moment. But I do know that back in April they made an announcement where they talked about their margins and how their margins were going to be lower as they start to invest for more growth. So the market obviously didn't like that at all, so hence the sell-off. But I will be planning to look into this company in the future, so look out for that video. Now, the last company on this list is ASX EOS, which stands for Electro-Optic Systems, and personally I have never heard about this company before I did this video, and chances are you probably haven't heard about them at all as well. So let me just show you what these guys actually do. Okay. Some Humvees. Whew. Damn. That's pretty sick. Pretty badass video if I do say so myself as a Call of Duty and Battlefield fan, but anyways. So basically they offer optical technologies and they operate in the space and defense markets. And the reason why they're on this list is because the share price has been falling, as you guys can see, and just recently during that late April phase, the share price has fallen quite a bit at more than 25%. So this has warranted the short sellers to look into this company even more. And based on the short percentages, we can see that it's shot up quite a bit. So once again, the short percentages and the actual share price is negatively correlated. So these were the top shorted stocks for June at the moment. Let me know what you think. Are you going to be buying some of the companies on this list? Personally, as I said, I've bought into Kgn only, not the other companies right now, because Kgn is the only one that I've studied and I like the prospects of the company long term. But guys, make sure to do your own research moving forward. And as mentioned before, if you guys do like the fintech space like me, check out this video. This is the top 5 fintech stocks in Australia right now that I've done the research on. These companies present lots of risk but lots of excitement as well and lots of innovation, so I think it's a pretty interesting pick. Check it out, and guys, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. So those were the top shorted